Lao Lu was speechless, but had no time to spare. He hurried back to the car. Jiang Ninian leaned back against the rear seat, one hand pressed to his wound, his face pale. Yunyan sat beside him, also splattered with blood. Lao Lu started the car immediately, planning to go to the nearest hospital and contact the doctor at their exclusive hospital at once. People of their status in the capital had sensitive identities and, except in emergencies, usually went to designated hospitals. The Jiang family had invested in a high-end private hospital, which the family members always used. Jiang Yinyan ordered Lao Lu to take Yunyan home first. Lao Lu grew anxious. "Young Master Yin, you're bleeding. I can't do that." The sweat on Jiang Yinyan's forehead was ceaseless, and his face grew increasingly ashen. He had been forcing himself to endure the pain while carrying Yunyan out. Now that the car was away from the Feng Yao premises, his strength was finally failing him. "I won't die. Take her home first," Jiang Yinyan insisted. Anxious, Lao Lu instinctively glanced at the rearview mirror. That one glance, how to put it, made his heart sink. Yunyan's expression was numb. From her reaction, she felt neither fear nor worry. On the contrary, she was utterly cold. Lao Lu opened his mouth. "Miss you." What could he say? It was young Master Yin who had pushed her into Feng Yao. Whatever his reasons, it was certain that he had hurt her. Yunyan turned to look at Jiang Yinyan. He was slumped against the back seat, the hand on his wound no longer pressing firmly. The car was dark, but she could clearly see his pained expression. She could ignore him, go home first. After all, this was Jiang Yinyan's order. On the way, he would surely lose too much blood, which would be exactly what she wanted. Yes, she should ignore him, just watch as he bled out drop by drop. But, as Yunyan watched him, she kept seeing the young Yin, the Yin who had charged into a den of danger single-handedly to save her, the Yin who had comforted her even as he was bleeding. "Jiang Yinyan." After a moment, Yunyan spoke calmly. "How are you feeling now?" Jiang Yinyan's voice was very soft. "I won't die." Yunyan understood. When you were the one who was injured, you knew your own condition best, especially someone like him who had lived with half a foot in the grave. "Lao Lu, is there a partner hospital nearby?" Lao Lu, who had been driving fast and steady, suddenly remembered. "Yes, there is one. Go to the partner hospital. It'll be troublesome for him if we go to the county hospital." As she spoke, Yunyan took off the suit jacket on her, quickly folded it as small as she could, and said to Jiang Yinyan, "Let go." Jiang Yinyan stared at her, but obediently moved his hand. Yunyan pressed the folded jacket against his chest, trying to cover as much of the bleeding wound as possible. Seeing this, Lao Lu finally felt a weight lift from his heart. He slammed his foot on the accelerator, racing toward the hospital as fast as he could. In the dim light, Jiang Yinyan just watched her quietly, his thoughts unreadable. After a long while, he spoke in a low, hoarse voice. "Weren't you just wishing for my death? Your chance is right in front of you." Yunyan ignored him, continuing to press down hard on his wound. Lao Lu glanced to the rearview mirror. "Take your jacket off and throw it back here," Jiang Yinyan ordered in a low voice. When Yunyan had taken off the suit jacket, her clothes underneath were still in disarray. Jiang Yinyan had caught Lao Lu's glance in the mirror. Lao Lu, having been with Jiang Yinyan for a long time, wasn't as timid as the other bodyguards. He freed one hand to take off his jacket, passed it to the back, and explained, "Young Master Yin, I was looking at you." Jiang Yinyan ignored Lao Lu's explanation, perhaps too weak to bother. His voice was very quiet. "Put it on." Yunyan hadn't wanted to be exposed anyway, so she took the jacket with one hand and put it on. She then said coolly, "Do you think I don't want you to die?" "Jiang Yinyan, I will remember what happened tonight. But if you die now, I'll be implicated, and I don't want to throw away the rest of my life." Jiang Yinyan was silent. Seeing that he had stopped talking, Yunyan pressed down harder. "Jiang Yinyan, say something. Don't fall asleep." His condition was not good. "Lao Lu, faster." Lao Lu nodded. Jiang Yinyan hadn't passed out. He was just so weak from blood loss that even speaking was an effort. He spoke feebly. "Are you afraid of taking responsibility for my death, or are you afraid of me dying?" Yunyan didn't even have to think. "I've already told you, I don't want to throw my life away for someone like you. So what do you think my reason is?" Jiang Yinyan chuckled, a low sound, and said no more. "Aren't you going to tell me?" Yunyan asked suddenly. Jiang Yinyan, "Tell you what? Tell me why you hate the Yu family so much." Yunyan suppressed her anger. "When you had nowhere to go, it was my father who brought you back to the Yu family. Not only were you not grateful, but you came to hate him." "What?" Jiang Yinyan seemed to smile, but he was growing weaker. "Grateful? In your eyes, your father is a great philanthropist. Who doesn't sing you Yuan's praises? The richest man in Jiangnan, a benefactor to the world. But in my eyes, he was filthy and despicable. He wouldn't even spare a child. Yunyan, you think I'm inhuman, but I'm not even 1/10 of what your father was." "What?" Yunyan's heart suddenly clenched. She stared at him in disbelief. Jiang Yunyan, what are you saying? Make yourself clear. But Jiang Yunyan said no more. He closed his eyes, his head hanging low. Lao Lu said anxiously, "We're almost at the hospital. We're almost there. Right away." When Xiao Min found the place, according to the navigation, it was already bright. Ever since Yunyan was taken away by Jiang Yunyan, her heart had been restless. After returning home, she couldn't sleep even if she wanted to, so she simply stayed awake, drank a lot of water to clear the alcohol, and then sent several messages to Yunyan, but they all sank into the sea. She wondered if it was telepathy, but Yuanzhou called her in the middle of the night, asking if she was with Yunyan. Xiao Min knew Yuanzhou's temperament. Usually gentle and steady, he would lose his mind when it came to Yunyan. She could only lie and say they were together, and that Yunyan had already fallen asleep. From the sound, Yuanzhou had just finished socializing, his voice tired, and he didn't doubt Xiao Min's words, perhaps because he was too tired. When Xiao Min received Yunyan's call, it was just dawning. She had fallen into a hazy sleep and had a lot of messy dreams. On the way to pick up Yunyan, Xiao Min suddenly thought of Moira. She was sure that Moira still cared a lot about Jiang Yunyan, or rather, in her opinion, only the Jiang family was worthy of a marriage alliance with the Moira family. Moira actually called her, which Xiao Min hadn't expected. Because Xiao Min hadn't found a chance to talk to Moira at the appreciation meeting, and Moira had disappeared during the dinner, Xiao Min didn't have Moira's contact information. When she first received the call, she thought it was a sales call. "I know your relationship with Yunyan is close recently," Moira said bluntly. "So I want to ask you, is Jiang Yunyan taking Yunyan back to the Jiang family?" Xiao Min pondered for a moment. Yunyan plans to break off the engagement. Her answer was very clever, avoiding the crucial part of Moira's question and throwing out another crucial point. Xiao Min was thinking at the time, if she was a smart woman, she wouldn't ask any more questions after hearing this. First, Yunyan breaking off the engagement was a fact. Second, Jiang Yunyan taking Yunyan away on the grounds of her broken engagement was also a fact. Finally, and most crucially, what if Jiang Yunyan didn't take Yunyan back to the Jiang family? She felt that Moira was an extremely intelligent woman, and things she could think of, Moira wouldn't miss. Otherwise, she would have called the Jiang family directly. As expected, Moira didn't dwell on the topic, or perhaps she just wanted to indirectly let Yunyan know that it was easy for her to inquire about her affairs. Moira just chuckled softly. Given the current situation of the Yu family, she should be holding on to Jiangze, right? Xiao Min countered, "If Miss Moira were her, would you choose to continue the marriage alliance with the Jiang family?" Moira thought for a moment, then chuckled. "You're right. The reason I'm marrying into the Jiang family is because of my family's background. Both families have the capital to mutually benefit." Yunyan's approach is very smart, and she sees things clearly. In this day and age, nothing beats having it yourself in terms of practicality and strength. Once you don't have it and have to ask others, you'll inevitably live a very stifled life. She added, "It's also good that Yunyan isn't marrying Jiangze. I'm not much older than her, and if she really married Jiangze, she'd have to call me Annie. That seniority is too depressing." So, all the way there, Xiao Min was thinking that after seeing Yunyan, she must persuade her again to leave Jiang Yunyan as much as possible, and if necessary, play some tricks as long as she could get out unscathed. The current Moira could be polite to Yunyan and even help arrange a connection with Si Tingyuan, because she currently felt that Yunyan had no conflict of interest with her. Once Yunyan and Jiang Yunyan remained entangled, it was uncertain whether Moira would be ruthless towards Yunyan. But when Xiao Min saw Yunyan, she was almost scared to death, and she had no energy to persuade Yunyan about anything else. Yunyan was covered in blood, her clothes disheveled, and she was wearing a man's suit jacket, which looked quite shocking no matter how you looked at it. The location was a hospital. Xiao Min knew this hospital. It was a private hospital, a branch of a private hospital in the city. There weren't many patients. Medical care here was expensive, completely different from public hospitals, very quiet. Even the on-duty medical staff spoke softly and gently, especially at this time. When Xiao Min rushed in, her footsteps echoed in the corridor. Luckily, she wasn't wearing high heels. Following Yunyan's instructions, Xiao Min brought a set of clean clothes. After Yunyan changed in the hospital's lounge, her legs were so weak that Xiao Min stepped forward and caught her just in time. Yunyan whispered, "Take me home." After getting in the car, Xiao Min looked at her with deep sympathy, reached out and squeezed her hand, only to find Yunyan's hand was extremely cold. "Wait for me for a moment," Xiao Min said, then got out of the car. The hospital's parking lot was underground. At this time, no vehicles were entering or exiting, and everything within sight was brightly lit, a dazzling light that could make one dizzy. Some expensive cars were parked around. Yunyan curled up in the passenger seat, her bare feet on the seat, her arms wrapped around her knees. The passenger seat was covered with a fluffy mat, soft under her feet. But Yunyin still couldn't relax. Xiao Min brought her own clothes, which Yunyin could wear, as they both wore the same size. Even the laundry detergent they used was the same brand. So Yunyin smelled a familiar scent when she breathed. Her clothes were comfortable, and her feet were soft, yet Yunyin could still smell the scent of blood from that room and from Jiang Yunyin. Yunyin was slow to react. The calm she had maintained in the room and all the way to the hospital with Jiang Yunyin finally dissipated. She was trembling all over, and frames of the scene inside Feng Yao kept flashing her mind, as if uncontrollably. Now she was like a startled bird. The slightest movement would make her heart pound, unable to find peace. Soon, Xiao Min returned and handed her a cup of hot milk tea. Tonight, Jiang Yinyin is considered an important patient in their hospital. They practically have all the medical staff involved. I originally wanted the doctor to prescribe some vitamin C effervescent tablets, but they couldn't. Just make do with the milk tea. It'll help calm you down. Although Yunyin had good natural conditions, being beautiful and having a good figure, she was also quite disciplined, rarely indulging in things like milk tea and desserts. But at this moment, Yunyin also desperately needed a hot drink to soothe her tense nerves. The cold from Feng Yao extended all the way to the hospital, then permeated every pore and entered her bones. After a sip of milk tea, the rich sweetness first awakened her taste buds, and after half a cup, her cold fingers gradually warmed up. Xiao Min didn't rush to drive away, just quietly waited for her to finish, then helped her throw away the empty cup. She asked her how she was, and Yunyin clasped and unclasped her fingers, saying softly, "Let's go." As the car reached the ground level, Yunyin instinctively raised her hand to shield her eyes. Light pierced through the clouds, dazzling. Yunyin was somewhat surprised. It had only been a few short hours, yet she felt as if she hadn't seen sunlight in a long time. Xiao Min drove quietly the whole way, even choosing quiet, lazy blues music, which made one drowsy. After a long while, Xiao Min said, "Yunyin, it's okay if you don't want to talk about what happened, but I need to know if you were harmed." Yunyin's chest felt very constricted, and she said softly, "No, the blood on me is Jiang Yinyin's." Xiao Min frowned slightly, clearly unable to understand how someone like Jiang Yinyin could get injured. But she was also mindful of Yunyin's emotions. Even if Xiao Min didn't know the full story of this incident, she could feel that it was unusual. If Yunyin truly didn't want to talk, as a close friend, she would just quietly accompany her. "I stabbed him," Yunyin said suddenly. The next second, Xiao Min slammed on the brakes, turning to look at her in shock. Yunyin didn't look at her, staring straight ahead, her face still pale. "Xiao Min, I've never wanted to kill someone so much. At that moment, I just thought, kill him, I must kill him." But her face gradually turned sorrowful. "But he's Jiang Yinyin. How could I have the ability to kill him? If it weren't for Zhou, if it weren't for my mother, I really would have killed him. With no attachments, I wouldn't have so many qualms. You only care about Zhou and Annie, right? Not me." Xiao Min was both angry and worried. "What do you mean, with no attachments, you wouldn't have so many qualms? Yunyin, you need to calm down. You need to understand one thing. Even if you're the only one left in this world, you have to live well and not do anything foolish. You can only take care of others if you live well yourself." "I understand. That's why I was so afraid that Jiang Yinyin really died on the way here." She actually thought a lot about what would happen if Jiang Yinyin died. Old Lu was an eyewitness. She had no way to kill another person to silence him. The Jiang family would certainly know what happened. With the Jiang family's power, let alone her alone, even with Zhou and her mother, it would be effortless for the Jiang family to deal with them. It would be one thing for her to suffer alone, but there was no need to involve Zhou and her mother. Xiao Min sighed softly and restarted the car. From the hospital to the city, it was quite a long distance. Xiao Min wanted her to rest, but she couldn't sleep. "Now, as soon as I close my eyes, it's still." She hesitated. "Still what?" Yunyin rested her head on the car window, saying wearily, "Min, can you promise me one thing?" Go ahead." Xiao Min didn't even ask what it was. Yunyin turned to look at her, and a warmth gradually flowed into her cold heart. Xiao Min was just like that. Whenever she asked for help, Xiao Min would help her without asking why, always giving her best, regardless of whether she could ultimately help her or not. "No matter what you hear, don't break again. The car rocking makes me carsick easily, and if I throw up in the car, we'll have to get it cleaned. I want to go home and sleep quickly." Xiao Min thought she was going to say something serious, but hearing this made her both annoyed and want to laugh. "Okay, go ahead. I promise not to break no matter what you say, even if you say you went to the underworld last night. Although I haven't been to the underworld, I think it might be better than the underworld. The underworld is a place of judgment, but Feng Yao is full of demons." Jiang Yinyin's goal was achieved. In Feng Yao, she indeed saw the evil of human nature. It was extreme evil. "Min, have you heard of Feng Yao?" Xiaomin first said not reacting. What Feng Yao? Yunyan told her the two characters. She had seen these two characters on the wall when she went in, and they were really descriptive. The signs of such places are never hung outside. Xiaomin was truly shocked after reacting. Feng Yao you're talking about? I've heard of it. There's one near the borders of the three countries. That area is considered an illegal place, so Feng Yao is flourishing. Have you had any contact with it before? Yunyan asked this because before Xiaomin worked in fashion, she was a social news reporter and later stationed abroad for a period, exposing many major international events. Later, Xiaomin was transferred back to China. She said that her psychological strength was never strong enough, and she couldn't bear to see too much suffering, so she switched to the fashion industry. Xiaomin said she hadn't had specific contact with Feng Yao, but a colleague had exposed Feng Yao a long time ago. It was said that Feng Yao had an incident at the time, and a colleague secretly snuck in and obtained first-hand information. Raw food feast. Xiaomin said these three words. This time it was Yunyan's turn to shiver, and her breathing also became rapid. She asked Xiaomin, raw food feast, could it be? It's exactly what you're thinking. Xiaomin wasn't stone-hearted either. When talking about this topic, she was calm, but in reality, she had seen plenty of darkness and ugliness when she worked in social news. Yunyan felt waves of nausea in her stomach. Feng Yao, to put it bluntly, is a place for perverse customers to seek pleasure. Most of the women who enter the owl are young, and most of them enter voluntarily because if they can leave the owl, they could get a large sum of money, or rather, a huge amount of money, enough not only for the rest of their lives, but even for 4 or 5 more lifetimes. Xiaomin's hands were empty on the steering wheel, as she clearly described, but there was an incident one year. The customers in Feng Yao played perverse games, and one customer, a fighter jet among perverts, brutally ate a young girl alive, calling it a raw food feast. This kind of play was unacceptable even in Feng Yao, which condoned perverse customer behavior. So, the incident caused a huge stir at the time. The local government also frantically suppressed public opinion to cover up the truth, and my colleague's report also died. Feng Yao was reportedly rectified for a long time after that incident, and then reopened, also backed by Big Shot. Still open locally? Xiaomin nodded, yes. But the local government, fearing trouble, also made many regulations, especially forbidding local government officials from going to Feng Yao. Once discovered, the consequences are very serious. Yunyan thought of the police chief. What about Feng Yao in China? Have you heard of it? Yunyan asked. Xiaomin was surprised and laughed. Where is there a Feng Yao in China? How could we allow such a place to open here? Even if you threw those two words out, no one might even know what they mean. Yunyan's heart pounded wildly, and after a long time, she murmured, I went to Feng Yao last night. If it's not the same kind of place you're talking about, then what could it be? The car experienced a clear jolt, as Xiaomin, at the last moment, remembered Yunyan's previous request and forced herself to maintain the last bit of sanity without stepping on the brake. What did you say? Xiaomin's voice changed pitch. Impossible. According to your description just now, what I went to last night should be a downgraded version of Feng Yao. I just don't know if this Feng Yao is a counterfeit or a branch of that one. The location is extremely remote, and you can't get in without a familiar face or someone familiar taking you, Yunyan calmly analyzed. And she was thinking about one question. Who was the boss behind both the outside world and the place she went to last night? Could it be Jiang Yunyan? The drive from the hospital to the city was long, enough for Yunyan to recount last night's experience to Xiaomin in full detail. After listening, Xiaomin was silent for a long time. In reality, her mind felt like it had been hit by a nuclear bomb. It took her a good while to find her voice. Nian, I had to resist the urge to slam on the brakes for the longest time. What you just told me is simply... It was simply beyond her imagination. Actually, last night, Xiaomin had already guessed that Jiang Yunyan wouldn't take Yunyan back to the Jiang residence. As for where he would take her, she was worried, but couldn't stop it. But she never would have imagined that Jiang Yunyan would take Yunyan to that kind of place. Even if that place last night wasn't the real Feng Yao, it was still terrifying enough. Jiang Yunyan, his intentions are damnable. Xiaomin's shock gave way to anger. Even if he was deliberately trying to teach you a lesson, he shouldn't have treated you like that. Compared to Xiaomin, Yunyan had already moved past that kind of anger. It wasn't that she no longer held a grudge or felt angry. All her fury and grievance had been concentrated in that single stab. Now that she had slowly calmed down, Yunyan was wondering, did that place have any connection to the real Feng Yao? If Jiang Yunyan wasn't the boss, then what was his relationship to it? From what old Liu had said, it seemed Jiang Yunyan never went to places like that. But for someone who supposedly never went to such a place to come and go so freely was quite puzzling. So you suspect his other identity has something to do with the tri-border area? Yunyan recalled a single character that the big, burly man had called him by, an unfinished name. And something that could make even a police chief tremble in fear was, in all likelihood, an identity from outside the country. She told Xiao Min the character she'd heard. She had heard it clearly, but couldn't be sure which character it was. Xiao Min said, "He came to your family as a teenager, right? Could a 15-year-old boy have that much intimidating power?" Yunyan fell silent. Seeing this, Xiao Min's heart trembled. No way. I don't know where he was before he came to the Yu family as a bodyguard, and I don't know where he went after he left. In truth, Yunyan's heart was also filled with unease. Before Ayan had a falling out with the Yu family, Yunyan had never once doubted his origins. It was just as her father had once said. Ayan had been separated from his parents at a young age and had lived a life of displacement. To survive, he had to learn to protect himself first. Ayan had followed a local gangster, learning to fight well while making a living. It was likely due to these life experiences from a young age that Ayan was extremely mature compared to his peers, which was why her father had spotted him, paid for his freedom, and brought him back to the Yu family. Yunyan had once asked if he still remembered his birth parents. Ayan had said it was too long ago, that he couldn't remember anymore. She had also asked where exactly he had lived before. Ayan wouldn't say, and if she pressed him, he would only tell her, "I don't remember things from the past. I just need to remember my duties now." Yunyan couldn't get anything out of him and didn't force it. She was still young then and couldn't imagine how complex a person could be. Does Ajo know his background? Xiao Min wondered. Yunyan shook her head. What Yuanzhou knew was the same as what she knew, and nothing more. Looks like only Uncle Yu knew the truth. Xiao Min didn't say anything more. But Yunyan understood. Ayan had been brought to the Yu family by her father, and her father had always been a prudent man. He would have certainly investigated the background of anyone he brought into their home. So Xiao Min was right. Her father must have known Ayan's situation clearly. But unfortunately, he had passed away. Neither she nor Ajo knew, and the only hope was their mother. But their mother was now. "Minmin, you knew my dad. What kind of person did you think he was?" Yunyan asked, her head resting against the car window. Xiao Min answered without a second thought. "Uncle Yu was wonderful, of course. Putting aside his success in business, just in terms of his devotion to his children and family, he was a true model of an excellent man. He couldn't bear to let you suffer even a little. Did he ever even lose his temper with you? To be honest, I was so envious that you had a father like him." Xiao Min had an alcoholic father who would cause a scene every time he came home drunk. Xiao Min's mother had endured it for most of her life. In Xiao Min's words, she seriously suspected her mom had been gaslit. But Yunyan felt that no matter how bad he was still her own father. At least he was alive. "Do you think it's possible my dad did something heinous?" Xiao Min replied without even thinking. "How could that be? Let me tell you, Nyan, I actually think Uncle Yu was too decent, too honest. He was a kind man, a Confucian merchant. If he had even a hint of a cunning businessman in him, the Yu family might not be in the state it is today." She glanced at Yunyan. "What do you mean? What are you suspecting your dad of?" Yunyan shook her head. "Nothing." Xiao Min's opinion of her father was the same as the outside world's. Of course, in Yunyan's eyes, her father was also like that. He was a Confucian merchant, a man of integrity and sentiment, different from many other business people. Her mother would always tell her, "Your father, he doesn't fuss over every little thing. Some people are always trying to take advantage where they can, but your father, he lets others have their small wins. It's a blessing to accept a small loss. That's why, you see, our Yu family's reputation is so good." She didn't believe her father was a villain, but Jiang Yinyan's overwhelming hatred didn't seem to have come from nowhere. Xiao Min had been a reporter and was immersed in the fashion world for many years, so she had naturally developed a sharp eye. She asked, "You said before that Jiang Yinyan had a falling out with the Yu family. Could it be that something happened in between that you don't know about?" "Something did happen, but I don't know what it was." Yunyan frowned. "And I don't believe my father lacked integrity. Let's put it this way, if there really was something, it must have been a misunderstanding. I believe in Uncle Yu. And another thing," Xiao Min's thinking was clear. What kind of grudge would he harbor for so long only to seek revenge now? If he had a grudge, where was he when Uncle Yu was still alive? At this point, a jolt went through Xiao Min. "Don't tell me the Yu family's troubles were related to Jiang Yinyan." Yunyan shook her head. The Yu family's troubles were an internal problem. External influences were secondary. The Yu family had a good reputation and had established its position in the Jiangnan area, but most of its businesses were in traditional industries, many of which were old production chains. The employees who worked for the Yu family were the type to stay for a lifetime. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call them old-timers. They had their skills, but many of their ideas couldn't keep up with the times. The Yu family had tried to invest in other industries and expand its industrial chain, but due to her father's decisions, sometimes being too indecisive, led to missed opportunities. Coupled with the decision to shift the industrial focus, the very foundation of the Yu family was shaken. The external environment was indeed poor, with traditional industries taking a hit, capital chains getting locked up, and the interconnected industrial chains burning through large amounts of money daily. This succession of blows ultimately led to the collapse of the entire enterprise. Although Yunyan hadn't been involved in the Yu family business, she understood the general situation. The possibility of outside forces playing tricks, such as Jiang Ninian sabotaging them, as Xiao Min suggested, was actually very small. At the end of the day, the Yu family had failed to keep up with the times. That was the most fundamental reason. Of course, she didn't rule out vicious competition from the outside, especially after the Yu family's capital chain was frozen, when many former partners kicked them while they were down. The marketplace is a battlefield, brutal and bloodless, a point Yunyan understood profoundly. Regardless, it was bastardly of Jiang Ninian to dump you in a place like that. Did you get any evidence? What if he turns on you when he wakes up? Have you thought about that? Xiao Min believed in being cautious. Yunyan was weary. He wouldn't stoop to a trick like turning on her. If he wanted to turn on me, he could have done it back at Fengyao. He'd only played dirtier. He had carried her in his arms all the way out of Fengyao. No one on that long path had noticed he'd been stabbed, except for old Lu. Xiao Min gritted her teeth. That is despicable. She added, Jiang Ninian is a man who hides things deep. You shouldn't try to dig into his background anymore. The more you know, the worse it is for you. As for Fengyao, I'll help you look into it discreetly. Don't you make any rash moves. It wasn't that Yunyan was determined to investigate Jiang Ninian, but she had a premonition that perhaps by investigating Fengyao, she might find clues about what had happened to Jiang Ninian in the past. Could we dig any information out of that man? Or that police chief? Xiao Min suddenly had an idea. They won't talk, especially the people we saw in Fengyao. And they were dealt with so harshly. How would they dare to speak recklessly? Yunyan still felt a lingering fear when she thought about what had happened. She didn't know what happened to that police chief afterward. According to old Lu's few words, the raw pig had to be eaten the same way it was carried up, otherwise the person being punished wouldn't leave Fengyao alive. One could only imagine the consequences. As the car turned a corner, Xiao Min's phone vibrated. She glanced at it quickly and said flatly, Young Master Su had all his teeth pulled out and a hole pierced through his tongue. Yunyan gasped. Jiang Ninian is a bastard, but I have to say, he did get revenge for you. To think a young master who appears so gentlemanly on the surface could be so vile behind the scenes. What a gossip. Xiao Min had been furious when she first heard about young Master Su, and she had been mentally plotting how to use public opinion to ruin him. Yunyan sighed. I didn't expect this either. He's just a piece of trash, Xiao Min cursed. If he really liked you, he should have had the guts to pursue you. He knows he's lacking. He must be insecure. He's certainly got a knack for spreading rumors behind people's backs. The endless talk about Yunyan playing around with men, now that she thought about it, had indeed started after that one banquet young master Su had attended. Rumors began to spread about Yunyan having a one-night stand with some young master. It was a complete test of the ugliness of human nature. Yunyan was beautiful and had high standards, and countless young masters had pursued her. When a suitor heard someone else bragging about a night of passion with Miss Yu, they would naturally feel unbalanced and would then fabricate their own story of a fiery encounter with her. Over time, Yunyan's reputation in their social circle was ruined. At first, Yunyan had tried to explain, but she found that it only made things worse. Then the Yu family's troubles began, and she had even less time to care. While waiting at a red light, Xiao Min sent a voice message. What's the situation with the Su family now? A reply came quickly. Sister Min, I asked around. Young Master Su was sent straight to the hospital. The reporters have all rushed over. The Su family is being strange. They're just saying no comment to the public and haven't called the police. After listening, Xiao Min sneered. Would they dare call the police? They probably don't even dare mention the reason. She then asked Yunyan, as for young Master Su, do you want to forgive him? Yunyan stared at the growing number of neon lights outside the window. The glow of the street lamps flickered across her face, bright then dark. She said, I don't want to forgive him, Minmin. I'm not that magnanimous. I won't forgive anyone who has hurt me. Young Master Su had been taught a lesson, one given by Jiang Ninian, but that didn't mean she would forgive the person who started the rumors. And of course, she wouldn't forget the pain Jiang Ninian had inflicted on her either. What do you want to do? Xiao Min asked. Ninian leaned back and thought for a moment. With the Su family in this mess, their rival companies will definitely get restless. Young Master Su's habit of secretly messing with people can't be limited to just my case. Bad habits are hard to break. If we can dig up some dirt and leak it, their rivals will surely pick it up. Xiao Min said, it's not hard to find evidence on people like him, as long as you look in the right direction. Thinking back, that scandal about the Su family that broke before might have been true. If young Master Su has this kind of character, old man Su can't be much better. If the beam on top is crooked, the ones below will be too. Xiao Min was referring to a scandal about the Su family that Yunyan knew about. It had caused a small stir at the time, but it only circulated within their social circle as the news was suppressed quickly, so the public never found out. It was said that the reason old Master Su was so keen on charity, especially donating to children, was that he was selecting concubines. According to an insider, old Master Su had privately taken a goddaughter, but had in fact violated the girl. Furthermore, the girl's mother was a social climber who, for the sake of power and status, didn't hesitate to offer up her own daughter and would sometimes even personally wait on old Master Su. When this incident was exposed, old Master Su had called it absurd and was even hospitalized from anger. No one believed he was that kind of person because his public image was too good. Yin mulled it over and said softly, "The rumors are most likely true." "All right, I understand." Xiao Min was smart. After driving for another 5 or 6 minutes, she asked Yin again, "You're pressing this hard. Is there another reason besides young Master Su slandering your name?" Yin looked at the pools of light on the window, her voice very soft. "When we were down, the Su family was the first to kick us." She had never thought of using such despicable means to get revenge on anyone, but young Master Su had truly given her an idea. Since he had ruined her with rumors, she would repay him in kind, riding the favorable wind Jiang Yin had provided and considering it a way of venting some of the Yu family's grievances. As for the grudge between Jiang Yin and the Yu family, Yin hadn't asked about it then. She was certain that the only reason Jiang Yin had said so much was because his consciousness was fading. After they got to the hospital, everyone was bustling around Jiang Yin. She had followed them in a daze and watched as the light of the emergency room lit up. Old Lu wasn't entirely tight-lipped about Jiang Yin. He at least informed Yin of the year he started following Jiang Yin, and Yin did a rough calculation, which was exactly after Jiang Yin left the Yu family. Old Lu said Jiang Yin had shown him kindness. Jiang Yin saved his life when he was almost beaten to death. After that, Jiang Yin didn't reappear until many years later, when he recognized him at a glance as the young man who had once saved his life. So old Lu had seen Jiang Yin's past and knew about his life afterward, but when asked further, he would clam up. He merely told her, "Miss you," when he wasn't young Master Yin yet. He lived a very hard life just to survive. When he became young Master Yin, he lived an even harder life to establish himself. The former involved overt violence. The latter was a struggle so deep that no blood was shed. Yin told him, "Who lives an easy life? Everyone has their own destiny and suffers their own hardships." Old Lu then said, "Miss you, young Master Yin has never been close to any woman, except for you." Yin retorted, "What do you want from me by telling me that? Am I supposed to be utterly moved just because of this? Am I supposed to disregard the harm he caused me?" "Yes, I had something to ask of him. When I sought him out, my dignity and self-respect were trampled underfoot. So, I deserve to be humiliated by him. Is that it?" Old Lu fell silent, and so, they waited until Xiao Min arrived. Yin felt she had fallen into a bizarre and fantastical world. Nothing in front of her seemed real. Only the once prosperous Yu family, the bustling garden, her father's hearty laughter and her mother's feigned reproaches, and the housekeepers, nannies, gardeners, and everyone else in the Yu household who dared to joke with their employers. Only those things were real. Sometimes, Yin truly wished she was just dreaming, and that when she woke up, she would find herself still in the Yu family home, in her own room, with her mother coming upstairs to call her for dinner. The knock on the door was very gentle, just like her mother's usual tender nature. Or perhaps she wished she could return to the past in her dream, and then never wake up. After a long while, Yin said to Xiao Min, "The fact that Zhang Xianwen could find that place means he must have some understanding of Feng Yao too, right?" Xiao Min was surprised to hear this. "Zhang Xianwen? What do you mean by found that place? It seems like he came looking for me." Actually, Yin wasn't sure either. It was just that at the time, she had indeed run into Zhang Xianwen at the entrance of Feng Yao. At that moment, old Lu was still inside Feng Yao, talking to Sister Qin about something. Jiang Yin carried her out first, and then Zhang Xuanwen's car suddenly sped over, blocking their path completely. Yin would be lying if she said she wasn't nervous. She was afraid Zhang Xianwen would find out Jiang Yin was injured. Not because she was worried about Jiang Yin, but because she was worried about herself. Zhang Xianwen was the kind of person who thrived on chaos. Fortunately, old Lu came out quickly. Upon seeing Zhang Xianwen, he positioned himself in front of Jiang Yin, creating a standoff with Zhang Xianwen. Zhang Xuanwen's face looked grim, and his tone was very displeased. "You brought her to a place like this? Jiang Yin, are you sick in the head?" Jiang Yin ignored him and got straight into the car. Zhang Xianwen yelled and shouted behind them, but was eventually stopped by old Lu. Yin felt that Jiang Yin genuinely didn't want to bother with Zhang Xianwen, and it had nothing to do with whether he was injured or not. Now in the car, Yunyan carefully recalled Zhang Xuanwen's expression and tone when he spoke. It was a questioning one. He was driving himself, and his car was parked very haphazardly and aggressively, as if he was in a hurry. This made her have a mistaken impression. Xiaomin had always thought little of Zhang Xuanwen. Before, she had kept her distance from him, avoiding him whenever possible. But ever since Zhang Xuanwen, in his petty vindictiveness, targeted Yuanzhou, Xiaomin had wanted to get rid of him. She only regretted that she didn't have enough power to offend someone from the Beijing circles. It's normal for that good-for-nothing Zhang Xuanwen to go to such a place. He's a psychopath, Xiaomin cursed. And would he really be that kind-hearted? Yunyan also felt she was overthinking it. Could a despicable person who once wished to ruin Yu Zhuanzhou's latter half of life, and who then ruined her reputation at the Hongyu Club, suddenly have a change of heart and go looking for her in a place like that? It would be good enough if he didn't take the opportunity to kick her while she was down. Anyway, stay away from people like Zhang Xuanwen and Zhang Yunyan, Xiaomin sighed. When will you ever end this ill-fated relationship with him? Yunyan told her truthfully this time, 1 year, then added, if I'm lucky, it could end earlier. Xiaomin glanced at her. Even without looking, Yunyan knew there must be all sorts of complex emotions in her eyes. Yunyan sighed. I had no choice back then. Xiaomin was silent for a long time before saying, it's my fault, I should have. Minmin, Yunyan gently interrupted her. Some things have already happened. Just go with the flow. Your situation with Jiang Yunyan truly can't be gone with the flow, Xiaomin said, practically distraught. Jiang Zhe still hasn't given up on you, and now Jiang Yunyan has an Mo added to the mix. Jiang Zhe has a blemish, so it would be easy for you to get out of that, but Mo is different. It's clear she has her sights set firmly on Jiang Yunyan. Yunyan was silent. She had clearly seen at the previous banquet. Regardless of whether Mo was merely putting on a show, her gaze at Jiang Yunyan was undeniably affectionate, at least publicly declaring her special feelings for him in that manner. With so many socialites present, anyone who still harbored illusions about Jiang Yunyan had completely reined them in. Who would dare to compete with Mo? After a long pause, Yunyan said, at least Jiang Yunyan won't come looking for me for a while. We'll figure things out slowly. I don't want to offend Mo either. Not to mention Mola's background. She had at least helped Yunyan once. Yunyan was sleeping soundly as they were about to enter the city. Xiaomin drove back to her own home. She felt that although Yunyan seemed to have recovered on the journey, just listening to her maid, Xiaomin sensed the horrors of Fengyao, and she was still worried about Yunyan. However, Xiaomin had absolutely not expected Yuanzhou to show up. His car was parked in the underground garage, occupying her parking space, directly facing her. Yunyan was truly sleeping deeply from being overly traumatized, so she had no idea what was happening outside. Yuanzhou got out of his car, and Xiaomin, seeing this, had no choice but to get out of hers too. Where did she go? Yuanzhou asked. Xiaomin knew how anxious Yuanzhou was about Yunyan, especially after the Yu family's troubles. His concern for Yunyan was unprecedented, and he wished he could keep an eye on her 24 hours a day. Sometimes, even Xiaomin felt that Yu Zhuanzhou's behavior could be suffocating. She had once brought this up with him, and Yuanzhou gave a reasonable explanation. Even when the Yu family was thriving, many men had designs on her. Now that she has no backing, if I don't protect her, she'll be even more susceptible to bullying. Xiaomin then earnestly told him, you can't protect her for her entire life. Besides, she's your older sister. She would protect you and wouldn't want you to expend your energy protecting her. Yuanzhou said, I can. I can protect her for her whole life. As long as she's willing, I'll protect her no matter the cost. At this moment, his expression was very grim, which made Xiaomin quite awkward. You drank quite late last night and came home by yourself, asked your assistant. Yuanzhou said bluntly, without wasting words. Xiaomin was filled with regret. She had planned for everything, but overlooked the assistant. That assistant was completely smitten with Yu Zhuanzhou's looks, practically wanting to stick his photos on her desk. Naturally, a little questioning from Yuanzhou was all it took. Xiaomin couldn't mention Fengyao in front of Yuanzhou. Whether he knew about it was one thing, but given his personality, even if he didn't know, he would definitely inquire, and then wouldn't everything explode? So she could only say, let your sister rest well. If you care about her, don't ask anything. Yu Zhuanzhou's expression remained grim, and he hesitated to speak. After a long time, he said, I'm taking her home. She's already asleep. Just let her stay here. Why would you bother her? Xiaomin said, a headache forming. You don't have any engagements tonight? Yuanzhou asked. Xiaomin paused, then said after a while, if I have to, I'll cancel them. It's no big deal. Don't worry, I can take care of your sister. It's not the first time she's slept at my place. But Yuanzhou remained unconvinced. I have no engagements tonight, and I don't need to go to the company early tomorrow morning. It's more suitable for me to take care of her. Sister Min, you should tend to your own matters and not delay your work. Seeing his insistence, Xiao Min had no choice. She looked back into the car. What then? Wake her up. Actually, she had planned to recline the passenger seat for Yunyan to sleep a bit longer. Waking someone who had just fallen asleep would be very uncomfortable. Yuanzhou thought for a moment, then took out his car keys. You drive my car first, I'll drive your car back. Yuanzhou brought Yunyan back to his home. It was quiet there. After the drive, Yunyan was completely sound asleep. When Yuanzhou carried her out of the car, she merely mumbled once and didn't wake up. He let her sleep in the master bedroom and replaced the pillow with a buckwheat pillow for her. She didn't like soft pillows. She detested those fluffy, soft hotel pillows. She had disliked them since childhood, saying that lying on one felt like sinking in and gave her no sense of security. Because of her, Yuanzhou had also gotten used to buckwheat pillows, always asking room service to change pillows when he traveled for business. His preferred pillow was firmer, so he always kept a buckwheat pillow of suitable firmness for Yunyan. Perhaps because she could stretch her limbs, Yunyan subconsciously felt comfortable and, after turning over, fell back into a deep sleep. Yuanzhou poured a glass of water and placed it by the bedside, not leaving immediately. He sat by the bed, observing the sleeping woman in the faint moonlight filtering through the curtains. He recognized the clothes she was wearing. They were Xiao Min's. But what about her own clothes? A faint uneasiness always lingered in Yuanzhou's heart, worrying about her inexplicable disappearance the previous night. Clearly, Xiao Min was keeping something from him. Before entering the house, Yuanzhou tried to check the dashcam, but found that a large segment of time was missing from Xiao Min's car recording, specifically where she picked up Yunyan and from where she drove back to the city with Yunyan. During that time, Xiao Min had turned off the dashcam. This made Yuanzhou even more suspicious. The dashcam would only be turned off if one was going to meet a very important person or visit a very private place. The woman on the bed slept peacefully, a few strands of her long hair clinging to her fair, delicate cheek. Yuanzhou raised a hand and gently brushed away the hair from her cheek. But when his fingers lightly touched her cheek, the softness of his fingertips made him reluctant to pull his hand back. He gently stroked her eyebrows and eyes, her delicate, high-bridged nose. The silky smoothness of her skin blossomed beneath his fingertips. Yuanzhou's Adam's apple shifted, and the light in his eyes grew deep and subdued. Perhaps feeling an itch, Yunyan raised a hand and brushed, causing his hand to be pressed under hers. Yuanzhou gazed at her intently, remembering the first time she held his hand. He had thought her hand was so small and soft enough to touch one's heart. He was very young that year, and she wasn't much older. Yet she had told him very seriously, "Don't be afraid. From now on, I will protect you." Yuanzhou subconsciously squeezed her hand, and once he did, he couldn't bear to let go. In fact, he had loved holding her hand since childhood, finding the feeling wonderful, like eating honey that flowed directly into his heart. But as they gradually grew older, he and she rarely held hands anymore. Because of Ayen, whenever he wanted to hold her hand when they went out, Ayen would always say that a 10-year-old child was already an adult, and walking hand in hand was unsafe. He didn't really like Ayen, and this was one of the reasons. Although Yuanzhou didn't know what exactly happened last night, he could sense that Yunyan had suffered immense grievance, and his heart ached terribly. Before leaving, he asked Xiao Min, "You don't have to tell me. I'll just ask you one thing. Was she harmed by anyone?" Xiao Min said no. The harm Yuanzhou spoke of referred to direct physical injury. He wasn't asking for anything else right now, just that she had no injuries or pain. No matter what happened, her safety had to be guaranteed first. He subconsciously tightened his grip on her hand. She slightly furrowed her brow in her sleep. Seeing this, Yuanzhou quickly loosened his grip. He raised a hand and gently stroked her forehead until her brow relaxed. Yuanzhou lowered his gaze to her, and as he watched, he couldn't help but lean his face closer, his thin lips gradually approaching her red ones. Her lip scent filled his breath, sweet and seductive, hooking him like a lure. He could also hear his own heartbeat, thudding against his eardrums, his temples throbbing. The closer he got, the more his breathing quickened, until their lips were almost touching. Yuanzhou suddenly came to his senses and abruptly sat upright. Yunyan on the bed was still sleeping peacefully, completely unaware of what had just happened. Her sleeping posture was relaxed and expansive, a sign of feeling secure. Yuanzhou cursed himself inwardly. Yuanzhou, what kind of person takes advantage of someone in their vulnerable state? Yunyan slept until the latter half of the night, tormented by dreams. When she opened her eyes, her forehead was drenched in sweat, and her back was also covered in a considerable amount of perspiration, making her feel terribly uncomfortable. She sat on the bed, recovering for quite a while. After all the scenes related to Feng Yao and her dream dissipated, she finally realized where she was. Startled, she thought, isn't this Yu Juanzhou's bedroom? Scattered memories seeped back in her mind. She seemed to remember seeing Yu Juanzhou and that he had taken over the driving. She now had some idea of what happened. She planned to find a set of Yu Juanzhou's loungewear, take a shower, and change. Unexpectedly, she found the study light still on. Glancing at the clock on the wall, it was already 3 in the morning. By the time Yunyan went to the study, she had already washed up. She knew her way around Yu Juanzhou's place. She had even supervised the housekeeper in organizing the walk-in closet, so she knew exactly where everything was. She put on one of Yu Juanzhou's t-shirts and a pair of lounge pants, both of which were quite large on her. When she knocked and entered, Yu Juanzhou was indeed working. Seeing that she was awake, he glanced at the time instinctively and asked curiously, "If you don't go back to sleep now, will you be able to fall asleep again?" "I'm not going back to sleep. I've slept more than enough." Yunyan had slept so much her head ached. After washing up, she had heated 2 glasses of milk and brought one in for Yu Juanzhou. Yu Juanzhou was tall, so his lounge pants were very long on Yunyan. She had rolled up the cuffs quite a bit. He took the milk, looking her up and down. "The pants aren't falling off. Did you ruin another pair of my pants?" "I didn't ruin them. I just cut a small slit at the seam of the waistband and tied a knot in the elastic inside," Yunyan said, reclining comfortably back on the sofa. "You can just untie the knot when you wear them again." Yunyan curled up on the sofa, sipping her milk. Seeing Yu Juanzhou staring at her, she sighed. "You cornered Xiaomin?" Yu Juanzhou closed the project file in his hand, carried his milk over to the armchair beside the sofa, and sat down. It was a better angle for a conversation. He leaned forward and placed the milk on the coffee table. "If I hadn't cornered Xiaomin, I wouldn't have even known you were in trouble." Yunyan jutted her chin toward the coffee table. "Just drink it. It's not good for your stomach if it gets cold." Yu Juanzhou glanced at her. "Don't change the subject." Despite saying that, he obediently picked up the glass and drank all the milk in one go. More than half of Yunyan's milk remained. She wasn't in a hurry, taking small sips as she said, "What subject am I changing? It's so late. You should be sleeping. Don't you care about your health? How can I sleep when you're like this?" Yu Juanzhou frowned. "Like what?" Yunyan looked at him. "You can't sleep just because I'm wearing your loungewear? Is this the only set you own?" Yu Juanzhou was exasperated. "You know what I'm talking about." Yunyan curled up completely on the sofa, looking languid. "What could happen to me? Aren't I perfectly fine right here in front of you? And another thing, stop cornering Xiaomin all the time. If you're doing it because you like her, I won't object. But is it right to keep bothering her because of me?" Yu Juanzhou pressed his lips together. He had changed into loungewear before starting to work. He hadn't slept earlier for fear that Yunyan wouldn't rest well, and eventually the sleepiness faded, so he decided to get some work done. The loungewear was a light apricot color, which made Yu Juanzhou's features look fresh and handsome. It was mixed with a gentle quality, lacking the aggressive edge of daytime and adding a soft, mellow air of the night that was comforting. It also added a touch of boyishness. After a long pause, he spoke. "I asked Sister Min." Yunyan studied him. "Then tell me, what did Xiao Min say?" Yu Juanzhou's brow furrowed deeper as he stared at her, almost displeased. She couldn't help but press her lips into a faint smile. "I'm your sister. You think I don't know you?" Yu Juanzhou had never learned how to bluff, ever since he was a child. She could see right through him. He knew he couldn't get anything out of her and surrendered. "Can you tell me where you went?" "You really don't need to worry. Nothing happened to me. If something had really happened, wouldn't I have contacted you?" Yunyan reassured him. Although Yu Juanzhou hadn't attended the appraisal fair, there were so many eyes there, it was impossible to guarantee that no rumors would leak. He said, "You left the banquet with Jiang Yinyan." Yunyan nodded, not denying it. "I just wandered around with him for a bit. He had something to do later, so I called Xiao Min to pick me up." Yu Juanzhou gritted his teeth. "Yunyan, I can't trick the truth out of you, but you can't lie to me either." Yunyan sighed softly. "Zhou, am I still a 3-year-old? Stop worrying about my affairs. The Yu family's business is what's most important right now." Yu Juanzhou felt helpless. It was always like this. She always used the family's business to put him off and shut him up. "You and Jiang Yinyan. With Mora around, I won't have too deep of a relationship with Jiang Yinyan." Yunyan knew what he was going to say and cut him off simply and clearly. Yu Juanzhou had also heard about this. Mora had come to the country, undoubtedly for a marriage alliance with the Jiang family. Although Jiang Yinyan was from the Beijing social circle, Mora was from the business world, so the news had spread quickly through business circles. Yu Juanzhou took a deep breath and said softly, "The factory site in Jiangnan is almost ready. We'll move a portion of our projects there first. Once things have stabilized, we'll leave Beishur and avoid the Jiang family as much as possible." Yunyan was silent. Seeing this, Yu Juanzhou felt uncertain. He studied her reaction. "Do you have other ideas?" Yunyan drank the rest of her milk and said softly, "It's only a matter of time before the Yu family returns to Jiangnan. The North China region has too many constraints that are indeed unfavorable for our family's development. I'm just thinking that if we're really going to leave, we need to leave with capital. Otherwise, even if we move back to Jiangnan, the clients we've lost will still be lost. When we return, we have to return with a bang. Yuanzhou looked at her for a long time before saying abruptly, Si Tingyuan also attended the appraisal fair. Yunyan nodded. I found a chance to talk to him. Understanding dawned in Yuanzhou's eyes. He had heard some things, that Si Tingyuan's trip to Beishir this time was quite low-key, and he hadn't stayed for the entire appraisal fair. He had, however, spent a rather long time with a woman. Now he understood. The person everyone was talking about was Yunyan. Seeing his expression, Yunyan asked, You don't also think there's something going on between me and Si Tingyuan, do you? How could I? Yuanzhou trusted her completely. I just think Si Tingyuan is a very difficult person to deal with. He doesn't like to discuss partnerships on social occasions. I'm afraid you'll be wronged or rejected. The world runs on profit. I'm here to solve a problem for him. Does he have any reason to turn me away? Yunyan said softly. Yuanzhou thought for a moment. Jewelry. Correct. It's true the Si family's business is massive, and jewelry projects aren't exactly their main focus. However, it's a necessary bridge to foreign royalty. Without this bridge, many of the Si family's overseas industries can't operate smoothly. So, do you think he could afford to ignore my proposal? She shifted her position. The Si family is currently undergoing a power transition. Although Si Tingyuan inherited control of the family with little effort, it doesn't mean his power is stable. He has a younger brother who is said to be very skilled at winning people over. Si Tingyuan will naturally want to produce results for the shareholders as quickly as possible. So what do you think? Will Si Tinji come looking for us on his own initiative? Si Tinji was the Si family's adopted son, but there were also rumors that he was actually an illegitimate son. Over the years, people had tried to dig into this matter, but it always came to nothing. Yuanzhou squinted at her slightly and said after a long moment, I always thought you weren't interested in the business world. It's not that I'm not interested, I just didn't want to tire myself out. I listened to Dad too much and just wanted to be a carefree young lady. With Dad and you supporting the Yu family, when would it ever be my turn to worry? She hugged a throw pillow. But Dad's gone now. How can I be at ease when the entire Yu family is resting on your shoulders alone? I'm a child of the Yu family too, and your older sister. Naturally, I'll do what I can for the family, as long as I don't cause you trouble. Yuanzhou thought for a moment. From a personal standpoint, I don't want you to get involved. He didn't say the rest. But how could Yunyan not understand what he meant? The business world was a battlefield for men. For a woman to break in, she would inevitably have to endure many hardships, as well as unfair grievances and slander. But you also know you can't convince me, Yunyan told him softly. In the past, you and Dad gave me too much comfort. I'm the eldest daughter of the Yu family. I can't just sit back and reap the benefits at a time like this. She looked at him. Zhou, while I don't have the business experience that you and Dad have, I might be able to see things more clearly from an outside perspective. Besides, don't forget I studied business. That education can't be for nothing, can it? Dad spent a lot of money on it. I don't think the old man spent much money. Your grades were excellent. You won so many scholarships you couldn't count them, not to mention multiple awards for business projects. The prize money was quite substantial, Yuanzhou said with a light laugh. Yunyan wasn't an ignorant rich girl. On the contrary, she had been a good student since she was young and was highly self-disciplined. When she went abroad to study, her goals were clear. While other rich heirs were spending money lavishly, she had already made a fortune through project teams she had assembled herself. Some of her ideas were very good, but their father, Yu Yuan, was a bit of a traditionalist at heart. This didn't mean he treated his daughter poorly and only doted on his son. On the contrary, he adored his daughter. It was just that he believed a daughter should be a little princess, carefree her entire life, never having to worry about anything, simply getting whatever she liked and doing whatever she wanted. When it came time to choose a major, Yu Yuan didn't interfere and let Yunyan choose freely. When she chose business, he just thought she was being willful and let her be. But Yuanzhou had observed her closely. Yunyan was actually cut out for business. Many of her ideas were bold. All she lacked was experience. Yunyan waved a hand. That's all in the past. No need to talk about it. If it's not put into practice in the business world, it's all just talk. You can't be serious, can you? Yuanzhou was still uncertain. The Yu family is full of holes right now. That's why you can't plug them all by yourself, Yunyan mused. Of course, even with me, we can't plug them all. We'll have to pull some other people into the game to help. Hearing this, Yuanzhou was surprised. You want to break off the projects in areas the Yu family doesn't excel in and restructure our capital and connections through recruitment, Yunyan stated her idea. Yuanzhou looked at her. I've had this idea before. It's feasible, but there are also significant risks in its execution. And if we're outsourcing industrial authority, we'll need to make specific plans about the percentage to be released and other details. So you see, what you've thought of, I've thought of too, Yunyan said with a light laugh. Yuanzhou sighed. When it came to her, he was always left feeling helpless and ready to compromise. Fine, you can get involved. But we need to agree on 3 rules. Yunyan looked at him. All right, go ahead. Yuanzhou, first, you have to discuss anything related to the business with me. You can't hide things from me for any reason. Of course. Yuanzhou, second, you cannot sacrifice yourself for the Yu family's interests. Ever. Yunyan thought for a moment. Okay. Yuanzhou, third. Yunyan waited a long time, but Yuanzhou didn't state the third point, so she asked him, and? Yuanzhou thought for a bit. I haven't thought of it yet. I'll bring it up when I do. All right, take your time, Yunyan said with a smile. Yuanzhou chuckled. Still not sleeping? Yunyan asked. If you don't sleep now, how will you handle work tomorrow? You need to change that about yourself, Yuanzhou said. Don't always talk to me in that elderly tone. You're only 1 year older than me. Not old enough to be acting like a stuffy old person. Yunyan hit the nail on the head. Am I your sister or not? If I'm your sister, I'm your elder. It doesn't matter by how many years. The seniority is there. So I have every right to act like a stuffy old person with you. Yuanzhou wanted to say something, but ultimately held his tongue.